So as many of you guys know, I'm a second generation insurance professional, and throughout my career I've had the opportunity to serve on the agency side and the carrier side. But you know, the conversation's always been the same. It's been about the customer life cycle, it's been about the hard market, the soft market, it's been about what's next in the industry. And we're gonna tackle all of those subjects as we get into season 3 of the podcast. We're taking the podcast to a whole new level here. Welcome to the VIP Podcast, Season 3. Let's go. All right, I'm so excited you guys are here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Vertafore Insurance Podcast, otherwise known as VIP, and you are our VIP. Welcome beyond the velvet ropes and jump in here and hang out with us. We've got an exciting guest today that she's already got me laughing and excited. We hadn't hit record yet, so I'm excited to do it. And I couldn't hold the reins back on Sid. She was excited to get into this one. So,
well, I just found out like 2 minutes ago that our guest does music. Like, she's actually in a recording studio, right? A personal recording studio. So now I'm tempted to see if she's gonna beatbox for us,
right? Or sing a note or two.
I mean, yeah, I guess I could do the beatboxing. Although I'll tell her right now, I'm terrible beatboxer.
Oh, we did that. The audience has seen that. You and I did that. Okay.
Yeah, that happened.
So
that happened.
Yeah. So you guys are like, all right, tell me who this is. So this is Alexis Vaughn of Off Course. And since I can't hold back anyway, I'm gonna step back and let you do this bio. Go ahead.
So let me tell you this. When I was preparing the intro for this podcast, and digging into Alexis's background and history, I actually had to like physically write out the bio because this woman has done so much in the industry, and I would say in a like relatively short amount of time. So before I'm going to read it to you guys because it's an incredible journey. But she's a fireball, man. She is someone to watch. If you are not following her, I think by the end of this podcast, you're probably going to get on LinkedIn and smack that follow button. So let me tell you a little bit about Alexis Cierra Vaughn. Alexis is a 14-year global award-winning insurance and InsurTech executive expert and InsurTech influencer. Whew, that right there, man.
Already.
She was the former AVP of agency marketing, leading InsurTech Cowbell Cyber, which was, I mean, they were hot for a while there. And I'm pretty sure a lot of that had to do with Alexis, where she led all agency engagement efforts for 23,000 producers appointed with Cowbell, so very well networked. She was the creator and head instructor of the 2-time award-winning Cowbell Academy, the first e-learning cyber insurance school for brokers and agents. Alexis was recently named, quote, Women to Watch in InsurTech 2023.
I see you.
I know. Insurance Business in America is one of the top 85 trailblazing elite women in insurance for 2022. Wow. Lightico named her a top influencer on the top 100 Insurance Innovators list, and ACORD and Alchemy crew top 14 global InsurTech leaders of 2022 globally as well.
Wow.
That's why I said I had to write it out. I mean,
we're not worthy. Holy smokes.
I don't know how we got her. I don't know
either.
Okay. So as founder and CEO of Off Course Consulting, that is her daily gig today. She is a fractional executive consultant, sales and marketing strategist, and advisor. And as if that isn't enough, she is also the host of a podcast called The Insurance Unicorn. Welcome, Alexis.
Talk about VIP. Wow. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that very, very warm welcome. Thank you, Sydney.
That voice, too. That buttery smooth voice.
She's going to give me a run for my money.
Yes, she is. We got Orange Mike Chad over here, like jealous now because he's got the voice of,
the voice of God.
Yes, but now we got Alexis. I got to ask a quick question real quick. Do you go by Alexis Cierra Vaughn or is it just Alexis Vaughn?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the audience.
Okay.
So if it's my family, it's normally Alexis Cierra or anyone that I went to high school with, because when I was in high school I went by Cierra. Mm-hmm. And when I started my first insurance agency, people kept calling asking for Cierra to my agency. And my receptionists, they were hanging up on them saying, sorry, this is the wrong agency. And because I was going by Alexis. So that's why I started going by both my first name and middle name, Alexis Cierra. But now the brand has grown. It has really, really grown to a whole new level now. So now I just go by Alexis or Alexis Cierra Vaughn. Doesn't really matter. It just depends on.
I was just going to say, in my world, you either see the ones that go by one name, Madonna, Taylor, whatever, or you got the three name. If you got a three name, then you're just one of the coolest people. So I love it. So whether it is Alexis, the one name, or Alexis Cierra Vaughn, I don't know. I just think, the hype train is moving. I love it. I think it's awesome.
I appreciate it. Listen, my name came from Dynasty, so that says a lot.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Okay.
That is awesome.
Speaking of history, clearly you have an incredible track record.
Yes.
Give us a 30,000 foot on your journey with Cowbell Cyber and why you decided to start your own company. How did you go from this InsurTech, kind of internal mover and shaker to, all right, now I'm going to help this, the industry, right, as a whole, figure out InsurTech and how to leverage it?
Yeah. So basically, when I started at Cowbell, they only had about 4,500 agents and brokers who were appointed to them. And this was like around June 2021. And when I started there, one of the first things I thought, because I've been an agent, I've literally been everyone in distribution chain, right? I've been a captive agent for a carrier, worked for Country Financial, State Farm, AIG, you name it. So I've literally sold pretty much every solution on the market with the exception of a small few. When I started at Cowbell, one of the things I quickly realized was that agents and brokers really did not understand the cyber insurance market, why they needed to sell it, and also why their book of business and their clients needed it as well. And one of the things I thought to myself was, number one, I saw how much commission you could make. And I put on my agent and broker eyes, and I was like, wait a minute. If I had access when I was an agent to just write nothing but cyber insurance, which is standalone cyber, because you have to pay it annually. So you don't have to deal with the chargeback, things like that. I started to think about what are the things an agent and a broker would see as a win and a reason why they should be writing cyber insurance. And then you don't need an additional license. If you already have a property and casualty license, it's another solution you could offer. So you can diversify your portfolio. So I decided, okay, let's take a step back. Let's survey these 4,500 agents. And there was a large percentage of them who hadn't even been logging into the platform and writing business. Wow. So I said, let's survey those agents and brokers. Let's find out why they're not logging into the platform, why they're not actually writing business. And literally over 48% of them said they weren't writing business because cyber was too complex. They didn't understand it. So they didn't understand why they should sell it or why they should position it to their clients. And it was just way too complex to talk about. So from my perspective, I said, okay, that tells me that we need to spend time on education. So I decided to start creating these continuing education courses, because that's one thing you can get for an insurance agent or a broker. If you add CE to any type of topic you want to talk about, they will show up. And when I decided to do that, yes, exactly. They'll show up. So I decided, okay, let's just do it in a webinar format first. Did it with a few of the different associations like Big Eye New York, Big Eye California, tested it. Did one course. I was like, let's talk about the basics. Cyber Insurance 101. Instead of going to our agents and brokers first, let's test it on agents and brokers who aren't appointed with us and see if they can understand it.
And you had the genius idea to go partner with associations.
Yes.
On this. You didn't try and create your own solo effort initiative, right? You said, no, I'm going to leverage.
No.
And were you like networked in the association world at this point, or did you have to kind of start from scratch? I mean,
those were brand new relationships.
That's crazy.
So what's funny is, so I went out to these associations and I said, okay, these are the sponsorship dollars. Everybody has their sponsorship and partnership levels. They tell you what you get. One of the things that you got between all of them was an opportunity to actually sponsor a continuing education course, not actually instruct it and be a part of it. So I'm a master negotiator. just because you have all of that stuff listed on the list, I know what my ROI needs to be in order for me to justify where I need to spend $15,000 with this association, $5,000 with this one, and another $30,000 with this one. Yep. I have to justify what our ROI is. So I, being the master negotiator that I am, went to all of those associations and said, before we sign on the dotted line, this is what I can offer you. Mm-hmm. And this would be considered a value add for us. I will be your instructor because I know that you don't have anyone in your department who knows anything about cyber. I'll actually come on board and I'll be an actual instructor for Big Eye, New York, a Big Eye, California. And I will be your sole person to talk about cyber because I already know it. I'm licensed in multiple states.
So smart. It's so smart.
And I know they'll listen to me because I've been an agent and a broker.
And let's be honest too. I mean, so agents have, I mean, you can get CE from an association, web CE. Mm-hmm. I think people look a lot of times for the hot topics, right? The new things when they're taking CE. Because if you're going to sit through the CE class, you might as well learn something new,
right?
And so you brought that kind of competitive content to the association world too. That's like, this is just, what a story, man.
Yeah, that's next level.
So smart.
I do want to just ask you one little thing here. I don't want to derail us on this, but so what I'm hearing from you is, again, new relationships, things like that. One of my favorite things about the industry, and I've been in it 22 years now, is the opportunity that's there in so many different capacities of opportunity within our industry. You kind of carved out your own without having these previous relationships and whatnot. What was that for you? It's very empowering for me to hear on this end. Yeah. What was that for you? And those that are listening right now, sky's the limit in our industry. Obviously, you can hear it right here from Alexis, Cierra, Vaughn. Tell me a little bit what that was for you and how you came about with that and like what that meant to you.
Oh my gosh, listen. I think it was the way people responded because I came in saying, yes, okay, I can give you this money and you can give me all of this, but how about we talk about what I can do for you and your organization? Like I went out saying, let me add value to you because I'm going to pay for you to add value to me. You know what I mean? But how can I add value, which is actually just going to build loyalty for me and my organization? Because now every time they do something cyber related, they have a cyber panel. They don't have anyone else to call on. Mm-hmm. And if their colleagues at other associations are saying, hey, we heard that you're having a cyber conversation and it's someone who's in insurance, like that those two things normally never go together. So I felt like for me, because I focused on how can I build loyalty and also give them something in exchange for what I'm paying for. Like I'm all about how do I give back? Because my biggest thing was, remember what I said earlier, I wanted to know why there weren't other agents selling this product when I know it's something that they could actually benefit from. I wanted other agents and brokers to know about it. So I was like, look, if I need to be the mouthpiece to go out and shout it to everyone with my megaphone and do it talking about a cyber insurance one-on-one course where I'm explaining it, then I don't mind being that person. I think you have to not be afraid to step in uncharted territories.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important piece because this was very, very different for me. This was my first, step into the tech space. And also, but I always knew that I wanted to try to do something that blended insurance with tech. And I also knew that for agents, in order to get them on board, I needed to let them know what I had just learned, that apparently InsurTechs are not here to actually eliminate us. They're actually here to help us.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one of the things you brought up that I think is key for people to listen to is one of my favorite things is you brought up value. And that's a great lead in for anybody listening right now. So many agents have it backwards of like trying to get value from people. But when you lead with giving value and giving of your time and volunteering of this and spending your time and your money and your effort, I think, it's paid you back probably. Your ROI on that was massive. We haven't gotten there yet, but so if you're listening right now, first of all, I love get over the fear and just get out there and do it and make it happen, but also lead with value. Lead with bringing a value add to the table kudos to you for that. And I'm so
Thank you.
I'm all in right now.
I love it. So you grew this Cowbell Cyber bit. Yeah, honestly, that makes sense because I was hearing Cowbell Cyber. It was like I couldn't get away from it, right?
Yeah.
And that makes sense because you grew it by a 4 to 5x multiple in a pretty short amount of time, which is that's so impressive. So why the transition then? Why did you end up saying, okay, I'm gonna go start my own business now?
So it was so funny. So the Cowbell Academy, right? I say that pushed me. When I developed Cowbell Academy, that was my dream, was to educate agents and brokers. I've always wanted to do that. That was like going to be at one phase of my career. I just wasn't sure where I was going to be able to do it at. But when the industry gave me that nod after I had developed something in like a record time, I put together this, we use like a ready-made platform, but I developed all the curriculum from scratch. I partnered with people who were experts in underwriting, partnered with people who were experts in claims. And I said, let's take what I was doing, because listen, when I was doing those CE courses, I was in a different city every week. Like one year from August all the way to December, I was in a different city teaching those courses, and it wasn't going to be scalable.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't I actually just put this in an online platform? We can get it out to more people. And then I can still have like the webinar feature where they do still get the live effect. You know, we do some marketing pieces here. We do some videos here. It's micro learning, all of that stuff. When the platform was only live, it was only live for 6 months, and I won those 2 awards. That Ambitious Insurer Award from EIS and InsurTech Insights that I won, it let me know that this is what I was supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be educating everyone. Because I realized that what I saw as common sense, the industry saw as innovation, because no one was being that forward thinking. Like, if I want to create a brand new technology, I want to get it to the masses, maybe I should actually teach the people about it first. If I want to create a new insurance product, things like that, maybe I should teach them about it first. So when I transitioned out of Cowbell, it was a very, very tough decision, because I had been so embedded into that. I mean, literally, I was the face of the company. Like, nobody's going to be able to tell you different. People knew Cowbell because of what Alexis had done and her team and things like that. We focused on building that brand, you know, but I also am very smart. I also built my own executive profile outside of that. So doing all the speaking engagements and things like that. So when I transitioned out of Cowbell, and as you know, they've gone through like a few different, you know, ups and downs of InsurTechs right now. I was a part of like wave number 2. It was a complete shock to the culture, of course, you know. So when I had to basically make this move, I decided, okay, what am I going to do next? I remember on August 1st, when I found out that I was no longer going to be at Cowbell, that I needed to pretty much get my ducks in a row, I was so distraught. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? I was like, I know I want to do the education piece. I know I want to help InsurTechs. I know I really, really want to make an impact, you know, in every way possible. I was like, how can I do this and do it in the right way to where I can impact multiple people? On August 1st, I transitioned out of Cowbell. On August 3rd, I get 17 offers. Not interviews, but offers.
Unreal.
From InsurTech, carriers with innovation labs, like everything. I went from being distraught and heartbroken on a Monday to Wednesday, having to field offers.
Whew.
Congratulations.
That is
awesome.
The universe saying, go get it, girl.
Yeah, you are an insurance unicorn at that point.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? So when I thought about it, and everybody remembered, I don't just do cyber. I literally do everything. I just know how to be a chameleon to make you think that I only do this particular type of product and solution, because I want you to only focus on that right now. So when I got all those offers, some of them started saying, well, you can't take all the offers, Alexis. So what are you going to do? And everybody was like, so at least half of them were like, well, you know, you could just start your own consulting firm, right? You can help everybody.
So you get 17 offers,
all
and then
down.
you turn them all down. What a badass move!
That's exactly
that is
right.
such a flex.
Yeah. That is a big flex.
It was like,
Oh,
I call that my favor flex. Like, cause that was pure favor. For those who are spiritual, that was nothing but favor. And the prayers of my grandmother and my mother, and oh my gosh, like, for me to go from that on a Monday to a Wednesday, and then all I did was send out messages on LinkedIn. I didn't apply to a single opportunity. I sent out messages, very quiet about it, told people, hey, I'm transitioning out of Cowbell. This is what I'm looking for. And I got all of that. Investors even started giving me opportunities from their people that they had invested in. They were like, hey, my investor called me and said I need to make you an offer. So I'm going to go ahead and just make my offer. It was things like that. And I said, well, wait a minute. That means your investor has other clients too. Like, I could turn them into clients. Your investor could be my lead gen. And literally, guys, like, I decided then that I was going to start my business. And I decided, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to go forward with it. And literally, the business we officially started, we had multiple contracts signed, started on September 4th, 2023 with multiple clients. We're 9 months old now. I started just me solely, right? From September to like late October-ish, going into November, it was just me. My husband saw how well the business was doing. And he said, listen, I need to support you in this. And he's like, I'm totally fine if you are the ticket. I'm totally fine with that. I will take a back seat. I will support you and give you whatever support you need. We can build out if you really want to take this seriously and not just be an individual consultant and you want to grow this into a global firm, I'm going to support you and I'm going to give you all my background and we'll go into my network. I will get you clients. Now, see, my husband has a carrier background. He was a consultant at Korn Ferry. He also worked for a global firm, Delta Airlines. So for him to walk away from his job, it told you that my company had took off very, very quickly. And he was head of like talent and strategy for Delta Airlines.
And what's his name?
His name is Marvin Vaughn.
Marvin, husband of the year, supporter of the year.
Shout out
Right?
to you, Marvin.
Shout out.
Absolutely. So yeah, now he's my co-founder and COO. We are now in multiple countries now. We have clients all over the US. We have clients in Europe and in Canada. We launched our company in Europe in March, but we technically already had like 2 clients in Europe in January. But we did our official launch in Europe. We are now officially a Wales company as well. So we're in the Welsh government. We just got accepted into their soft landing program. So now we're going to be expanding into Wales and doing a lot of work with the InsurTechs, carriers, fintechs there. I mean, it's been amazing. What we do is we do strategy consulting, and we realize that a lot of the stuff that I've learned throughout my career, throughout his career, startups, scale-ups, and carriers with those innovation labs, they need that type of expertise and that out-of-the-box thinking. Like everything that I did at Cowbell, I just turned it into a whole business. I was doing way more stuff than people actually knew that I was doing. I only kind of let people focus on, yes, I'm doing a distribution, but I literally had like 20 other jobs, as in any startup that you're going to have as well.
Yeah.
But I said, these are the things that are my strengths.
Yeah.
I'm great at go-to-market strategy, sales strategy, marketing strategy. My husband is great at talent strategy, operations strategy. He can tell you how to build a business and build it the right way so that it can scale. He can identify the best talent, like literally all the talent on my team. I hired them because I got my husband to make sure that I was asking the right questions. I'm like, I got to identify the right talent. And a lot of those people who were no longer at Cowbell are now working for Off Course.
You're kidding.
So that says a lot about the impact that I even made, because when people found out that I started my own company, I immediately heard from multiple people. and I think it says a lot about your character when people are willing to follow
absolutely.
you. So,
Absolutely.
we have off course consulting. We're helping a lot of InsurTechs and even smaller carriers expand from the UK into the US market. Same thing for Canada. We're helping a fintech right now expand into the US market. We have a lot of that expertise. It's been just, myself, my husband, and we have a team as well. We even have off course tech, which actually helps to build and analyze and even audit tech that's already built out for new startups to make sure that it's built properly. We even work with the MGAs and the insurance agencies and brokers who have great ideas but have no idea how to execute on the tech.
Yep.
We build out that tech for them as well.
Wow.
So, and I'm excited because we got some stuff coming on the off-course learning side.
Oh, wow.
Of course, I'll be launching something on that soon, so stay tuned for that. I'm just really excited about the work that we're doing, and we've been able to make such a great impact in such a short period of time. I love being in the startup space because things can happen so quickly, versus like I've had a consulting firm before. It didn't scale this quickly.
Yeah.
Like to go from like 17 offers, flipping a lot of them into clients, and then expanding on those clients and then going into a new market before we even hit the end of year one.
Yeah.
That is like all Favor. I always like to say I downloaded the Favor app.
Yeah. So this is okay. So we'll play off of this. Oh God, I have a million questions for you.
Oh my God, I do
Alexis.
too. I have to write mine down.
Yeah,
before
I was gonna say we may go a little long. Okay, so do you have a hard stop, or can you go just like
Nope.
nope? Oh,
I'm
yes.
good.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to play off of what you just said. What I hear when I listen to your story is that this, especially when you said, I started a consulting firm previously, it didn't scale this quickly. There is clearly a need, right? I mean, yes, you have the expertise. Yes, you have the experience. Yes, you have the reputation. Yes, you have the team. And yes, you have the resources. But there's an element of timing that you can't control when you start a business that seems to have just lined up for you in this journey. And what's so intriguing to me about that is it says something about where the InsurTech market is at. So I would love to hear from you. I mean, and there's a million directions we could go with this. Like, what are you seeing when you're getting into, I mean, you have to get real personal with these, startup teams and founders. And it's not as easy as going in and saying, well, hey, just put this process in place. Right? I mean, I worked in startup. I was employee number one of a startup for 3 years, and saw it grow from 1 to a team of 10 into its second round of funding. And it's a lot of personalities. It's a lot of fighting, good fighting, good but healthy conflict.
Go. It's not stop.
Yeah, and there's a lot of hard decisions you have to make, tough decisions. I mean, walking into that is it's like walking into chaos. Right, and so it's really not as easy as going in and say, oh yeah, just put this, these 17 steps in place. I can imagine if someone came in and told us that, we'd say, what the heck, who are you? And what do you think you're doing here?
Yep.
And, so how do you manage, I mean, I'm curious how you manage that, and I'm curious just what you're seeing trend-wise across the board as you're working with more and more of these companies internationally.
We mark that question off.
So one of the things that I'm seeing is, number one, especially when it comes to the InsurTechs, I'm seeing a lot of people who have great technical expertise, but don't actually have people on their team that they need to have who have the insurance expertise so that they can have that in-house, which is where I end up coming in. Because my goal is for you to not always need me forever.
Right.
You can need me for a max of 3 years, okay? Because after 3 years, I should be hiring people for you. That's what we have our talent. 3 years is like the max.
It goes back to teach a man to fish. You teaching a man to fish.
Yes,
at that point.
literally.
Yeah.
Literally. And we want to make sure, one of the things that I'm seeing too is people hire their friends. I think I said this on another podcast. So people get their money.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at Heath because we.
Right.
Do they? Yeah, go ahead.
That's
go
so
ahead.
Funny. People hire their friends. They hire their family members.
They hire people they trust. They hire people they trust.
They do. But
Yeah.
can they actually execute on the job in the right way?
Yep.
That's the thing. And I get hiring people you trust. But I'm just not going to hire my family member that's there if they're not an expert in what I know I need to scale this business. And I think it's important for an outsider like Off Course to come in and assess the situation, because we can honestly sit back and tell you that you know that your cousin did not build that platform right.
Oh.
You know that, right?
Man, you guys are playing with fire.
Imagine those conversations. Imagine those conversations, right?
Yeah, that's tough.
Well, that's feet to the fire accountability type conversations.
Yeah.
Yes. And see, like the data doesn't lie. When my team, when Off Course Tech comes in and audit, and they're like, well, yeah, you know, you're not gonna be able to go live because you don't have your tech. It doesn't even work. If we put anyone on here, it's gonna crash. And that's the last thing you want, is a horrible implementation, because you'll lose that client and every client that's coming after that you were planning on onboarding. So it's conversations like that. It's also conversations where this is their first business. They've never been a business owner before. And the only difference in startup founders is that versus a small business owner is that they actually just got a cash influx. Most small business owners still don't know how to properly scale and grow their business and things like that, and how to build out the foundation correctly. They don't think corporately. That's the other thing. The other thing that I feel that happens a lot, because we have to teach our startups, scale-ups, and all of them, like, look, eventually you won't be a startup. You won't be a scale-up. You will be a corporation. You know what corporations have? Organizational structure. They have processes. They have career paths. They actually have true compensation strategies that they did not pull out of the sky and say, oh, you live in California?
Yep.
You want to be a manager? Okay, I'll give you 185.
Okay.
Where did you get that number from?
Can we be real for a sec? Because this is, I'm like, I knew this conversation was going to be good, but now I'm just really on fire. So this is a realization I had probably 2 years into working at the startup that I was at. It's funny because when I got into the startup world, there was messaging I was hearing and adopted personally around, well, you know, we're a startup and we do things differently than corporate America. We'll never be like corporate America. They will. They do it wrong. You know, they're all about the money and they sell out, and we're never going to be like that. Those guys have not figured it out. And at some point, you realize that every startup's, honestly, I think mostly unspoken dream is to actually become a corporation, whether that's through acquisition or organic growth. All of them actually want that scale. No one starts a startup to say, yeah, I want to continue to be unprofitable for the next 20 years of my life and kill myself and work, you know, umpteen hours a week and have people leave because they're frustrated and not be able to deliver things to my clients. There's a reason that corporate America is the way it is. And it has its challenges. And I'm not saying that, you know, large-scaled organizations can't improve, but this messaging around, like, you know, we're going to be a startup and always I mean, tell me, how real is that really when you get down, when you're in the room and it's, you know, 10 p.m. at night and it's just you guys and there's no BS and there's no, you know, it's the real chat, right?
Yeah. You know what shifts that conversation? Because of course, that literally happens with every single startup or scale up, unless this is the founder's second or third startup.
Interesting.
Those conversations are very, very different than the first time around founders. The second and third, sometimes they get it. They're like, look, we start to have these conversations very early. When we're talking about your organizational structure, your talent, the type of talent that you're hiring, the price points that you're putting on your products and solutions, the tech, how many different versions you want to get to. We like to know what your dream is, because we also have those market expansion, if they want to go into Europe or if they want to come into the US, of course we have those market expansion conversations. But where we get to the real nitty gritty is when we have, what is your exit strategy conversation? Because we do long range planning. So we force them to sit down and tell us, what is the plan so that we can work backwards to get you there? Don't come to me at year 3 saying, I want an IPO when you didn't even build your foundation correctly.
100%.
Because now we have to start over from scratch.
So I was thinking about, so there was a series on Apple network called We Crashed. I don't know if y'all saw that. But
I love that one.
Yes, it was so good.
Yeah, Jared Leto, Anne Hathaway. We're talking about the mistakes that they made are the things you're talking about now.
WeWork. Adam.
WeWork.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Adam Newman. No,
Adam Newman. Yeah, the
and
CEO of
that
WeWork.
whole thing. And it started off at boom, just did so well, but they didn't have the 10-year plan mapped out. All he said was, we're just going to do this, and da-da-da. We don't want to be corporate. We don't want to be this. We want to have this great culture. And I was all in. Like I binged it in like 24 hours. Like I was like all in because it was such a compelling story. But it's the story of so many indie tech or insurtechs because they don't have those things set in place. And maybe that's how you came up with the name of your title of your company.
I want to ask a question off of that because
off course.
Off course, they're off course, and now you're getting them on course.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
literally we helped them get back on course.
That's so freaking
that's
brilliant.
Exactly why.
Okay,
so here's
that's exactly where the name came.
We're vibing right now. Let's go.
Alexis, you fact check me on this, but so when I think about the WeWork story, I think about a guy who essentially that company was built off of one man's personality. And he was
and his vision and his passion.
People talked about Adam Newman and getting kind of in his world or in his. If you listen to people interviews, post their crash, they talk about his charisma and his ability to get into a room with investors and paint this vision that people couldn't not want. And it almost, not everyone has that ability. I think a lot of people struggle with the investor pitch and the investor conversation, which is not a bad thing because the investor should be holding them accountable. And there was this sort of lack of accountability that happened, between Adam and the investors that he eventually had. They were from China, I believe. And that's really ultimately that the overvaluation of the company because it was based on the vision of painted by the man who had a ton of charisma was like the downfall was the story I remember. Yeah. And the story there for me was like, be careful of the InsurTech founder who relies too much on his own vision and can't sort of balance the vision with the reality. And how do you? I can see it. How do you deal with that? Because
my gosh,
they want the scale, but they can't. Do they look in the mirror, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That is. Let me tell you why that exists. Okay. And we work with startups who are fundraising as well. All different series, right? Yeah. So we help them put together the pitch deck. We actually make introductions for them, and we even coach them on their pitch. And the reason why it is like that, why it is that way, is because that is the culture. That's the VC culture, the angel investor culture, is they invest in the founder. So the founder needs to sell a dream if they want that investor to give them money. Now, the other part to that is after they get the money, what they're supposed to do with it, right? When you have founders who are like that, they do ridiculous stuff, like buy a jet that only that one person gets to fly on, right? And it's because no one put a strategy in place before they received the funding. Yep. On how the money was going to be spent. Yes, the investor will say, go hire people. Okay, don't just go hire 300 people and then you're going to have to lay them off shortly because you overhired. You know what I mean? And we know that is pretty much almost a majority of startups have had that type of situation where they hire a ton of people and then have to do layoffs. It's because there are no strategies, no true strategies. And I'm speaking from my own experience. I know that this is what happens. And then for me to watch We Crashed, and even the one that was about the Uber guy, Same situation.
Or the BlackBerry movie. There's a lot of these out right now.
Yes,
the BlackBerry
all of
one was,
these.
yes. Okay.
They all have similarities, and it's because it's a culture that's been ingrained starting at Silicon Valley in those areas with those investors, and now it's just everywhere. It's like a virus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that founder virus where I have to make sure that I have this persona out to the world. But what's important is we have what I like to call come to Jesus meetings with our founders.
Oh, I love it.
And we really sit down with them and we have realistic conversations. What is your exit strategy? Tell me what you really want. What's the whole reason why you started this business?
What's your why?
Are you trying to build generational wealth for your family? Do you want, because if you're trying to build generational wealth, you cannot do 25 rounds of funding because you won't even own that much of the company.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Preach.
see, it even approaches when we have those real conversations, we'll figure out how much fundraising you even need to do.
Right.
If that's what your end goal is.
Yeah.
Don't fundraise just to fundraise.
Yeah.
Because every time you fundraise, you have to give up something in exchange for that money.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
So, and the other piece to that is also making sure that we even so the other piece that my co-founder and husband Marvin does is he does executive coaching with these founders because a lot of them have never been CEOs, like I said before, so they have no idea even how to properly manage their people. Instead of doing this like I'm the king of the castle type mentality, like what you were saying, that's pretty much what people think a startup founder should be. It's not. You should be just like any other CEO at any major corporation. You should have, no one should be able to reach out to you directly and go over their boss's head to get a budget approved. You have CEOs like that where you can work around them, when it comes to startups, because everyone has access to the CEO. It's totally fine for people to have access, but you need to actually have protocols and processes in place for sign-offs of things. That way you can keep up with where the money is being spent, because you have to account for all of that stuff. Those are the conversations that we're having. We're like, look, we're going to do this executive coaching, and when we do the executive coaching, we actually give them a checklist where there are things that they should be expecting from each person on their C-suite team, and then the C-suite team has expectations for the people on their team. Like, we are actually taking the time to do what no one has done before, and that is actually training the founders, the founding team, the C-suite leaders, making sure they're not just promoting a sales leader to be in charge of sales because they're a great producer. Doesn't mean they're going to make a great manager, because they may not be great at people management. So we're trying to make sure that we eliminate those problems early, and we help you work backwards to get to your exit. If it is to IPO, if it is to be acquired, we have those conversations, because your strategy that you build today is going to determine if you can get there or not, and how soon.
Right.
See, what I'm loving is what you're talking about is not basic, but business strategies, not just related to insurance, but just in general.
Yes.
And we're talking about
In
this
general.
on a tech podcast, but our audience is insurance agents, and carriers and things like nature. But if you're an insurance agent listening right now, I hope you've been taking notes, because all these things don't just apply to InsurTech. This applies to your agency.
Correct.
Well said.
Your long-term planning, how you hire, what you're doing. If you didn't get that, you're hearing this right now, rewind about, 5 or 10 minutes and start writing down, because she's giving you a blueprint on a successful business. And that's what you are. If you're an agency owner, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. And I say all that, so go back and catch up to where we are now, write all these notes down. But now I want to ask you this. So what you're saying is wonderful business strategies on how to build a business of any kind. But why did you choose InsurTech? Like, I know you have a background there, and what are you seeing with InsurTech founders that may be different from any other business founder, and what kind of advice can you help them with there?
So I chose InsurTech founders and also insurance agencies and brokers as well. And even those MGA owners, because the MGA owners can be InsurTechs.
Sure.
They can also just be MGAs who are doing insurance the traditional way. And it's because, number one, I used to be all of them.
Right.
So this is some of the stuff that I really wish someone would have told me, when I was building out my MGA and even getting in a position to sell. Like, I really hated that I didn't have a true strategy set up when I was getting ready to sell my MGA. I had to create a strategy at the end. And sometimes it's not, sometimes you realize, like, man, had I had a strategy in the beginning, my exit, it was nice. It could have been even better.
Yeah.
Had I had a way better strategy from the beginning. And my biggest thing is I really want to see a lot more of these InsurTechs, agencies, and brokerages. I want to see more of them succeed. And I also want more generations to actually choose this industry the way they've chosen fintech and all these other tech industries. I want them to see it as an industry of choice. So I'm doing my part to make sure that I am actually giving them the tools and strategies that they need to be successful, but not just successful, but to scale their business. Because had I known what I know now, instead of just having one MGA and one agency, back when I was an agent, I would have scaled to multiple agencies had I known what I know today. And I want to help those young agents who are really getting into the business, the ones who are trying to figure out, hey, what are we going to do next? Because I don't have a son or a daughter who's interested in the insurance industry to pass on my agency to. So instead, let's figure out a way to flip it. So if you don't want to do brick and mortar anymore, let's turn your agency into a digital agency. Ooh. I want to come in and make sure that I'm providing different ways for them to scale and to build their version of generational wealth for their families.
Love that. And for years, again, I've been in it for 22 years. I'm the old guy in the room, but whenever you talk about InsurTech and things like that, there for my first 10 or 12 years in the industry, we were always known as 20 or 30 years behind everybody else, every other industry when it came to technology. Now, over the last 10 years, and even more of the last 4 or 5 since COVID, I think we've started sprinting, and we're at a different place now. And InsurTech is a thing now, kind of like fintech is a big thing over the last several years. Now, so as we're in this, and we're still in the infancy, where the grow up is, but like, where do you see like the future of InsurTech, and are you seeing like we're at the infancy stage, like I'm saying, or are you saying? Well, you're about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say any challenges too that you see in the InsurTech space, because you do work with so many. You work with, I'm sure, InsurTechs that we don't even know exist yet because they're still building it up. So you're like really at the ground level. I mean, that's
you really
cool.
are. So talk to me. Am I right? Are we in the beginning stages and we're in a long-term play here with InsurTech, or is this going to be a bubble that's going to burst? And what are the challenges?
And from the agent's perspective.
Perspective. Yeah. Good point. Same way.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I have spent a lot of time talking about, and it's a huge reason why we created Off Course Tech, is because I really, really see a huge opportunity for more agents and brokers to become the InsurTech founders. They already know their problems.
Oh, yeah.
Why not be the solution to your own problem? And you'll probably sell and scale much faster than your counterparts because the trust will already be there. I've already seen it with what I've done in my short time in the InsurTech space. For me, and another thing that I realized is that even when I was like building all the stuff that I was building previously as an InsurTech executive, is that making sure that the agents and brokers even understand the different types of InsurTechs that exist. It's not just one type of InsurTech. There's the InsurTech who's creating a product and solution that's just for the insurance industry to help streamline processes. Then there are the ones who are, their long-term strategy is to be a full stack carrier, and they're making brand new insurance products, and they're getting their reinsurance through some of the major carriers because they want to basically be the solution to a need that's already starting to present itself. Heavy on the parametric, like I'm seeing a lot of stuff in the parametric lately, all types of parametric products, like everything from flood to business insurance interruption or flood, things like that. It's been some Really, really cool stuff. And even one of the companies, that we're working with, what they're doing is thinking of how do we actually make sure that we're working more closely with the agent and broker community before we actually develop a tech that they don't actually need. So we can make sure there's solutions that they could actually use. I'm seeing more partnerships happen that way. So you'll see where a new InsurTech provider has developed this product and solution, and they've already identified, instead of needing to do an MVP and get clients and things like that, they'll just go out and identify like a huge insurance agency that's still paper and manual based and say, hey, how about we just partner together and you can become an InsurTech as well, which means I can also go to the market and get more funding a lot faster because I can prove that I have a client. I only need technically one client. You know what I mean? It's just like going to the market, going to investors with letters of intent. Instead, they're going with proof that their product and solution is working. It's things like that, because the digital transformation may just take much too long, you know what I mean, for those agencies and things like that and the brokerages that they're dealing with. So partnering up, I'm seeing tons of partnerships happening. And I'm also seeing a lot of embedded products, even being delivered at the program level now. So like I'm starting to see way more program level business come out, and they're leveraging embedded type products, like embedded cyber products, where it's cybersecurity embedded into the cyber insurance solution. And even, just regular business insurance where it's embedded, through when you join an association, you can get all your insurance with the association directly in their platform on their website.
I got to jump in really quick because I see a lot of tech-minded people that come into our industry. Again, going back to the opportunity, they're not insurance people, but they're tech people. I think what you're saying, it sounds like, and I'm wondering if you could speak this a little bit, how much do you emphasize or explain to them or help them to see how important it is to keep the end user in mind and help them to understand the industry a little bit more than just coming in thinking, oh, I'm a smart tech guy, I can make this work. There's a lot of tech people come to insurance, and there's a lot of insurance people that try to be tech people. But how do you manage that and explain that to them? You know what I'm talking about? Does that question make sense? I feel like I fumbled through that question, but does that make sense?
I know exactly what you mean.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
that makes a ton of sense. So yeah, absolutely. So we get a lot of those. That's actually I think literally we just a few of the clients that we're starting with next month, they're all exactly like that.
Oh, wow.
They want to figure out where their solution could fit within the insurance market, or if they should even develop a product and what that product should look like. They want to know the true need. So we spend a lot of time with them to, gathering market research for them. We also, allow them to sit down with subject matter experts on our team to really learn about different parts of the insurance industry, so they can see okay, well, this is what the insurance industry does on a manual basis. If I was to apply tech to this, I would do this, and this, and this would speed up that entire process for them. So we're even having agency owners sit down with us and say, look, this is a problem that I'm really tired of my agency having to deal with every single year when it comes to enrollment and things like that. This is so manual. No one actually wants to do it, but they have to do it. It's required. Doing things creating technologies that are actually required in some way, that are tied to a requirement, it has been a huge thing. So we have conversations with them about things like that. Make sure that even the language, the messaging, we have to talk to the tech founders who are coming into the InsurTech space about their language when they're talking to carriers, agents, and brokers.
It is a different language.
There are certain words that you just cannot use, there's certain language that you need to use so that it will actually connect with them as well. So, it's saying things like, make sure that you're not immediately telling me that it's going to get rid of me. You know what I mean? And eliminate a job that may be a small win for me. It may be the favorite part of the job, maybe for my particular agents. You know what I mean?
You got to enhancing.
How do you know I need that
replacing.
eliminated?
Right.
Yes, exactly,
exactly. Gosh, I hate to wrap this up,
so it's conversations like that we have with a lot of the tech vendors. Messaging is normally where we start with them.
Yeah.
We work on messaging strategies.
Yeah.
And then we work on the go to market after we're able to like kind of talk about that piece a little more.
Okay, before you wap this up, because I know
dude,
you're so I
don't
would
want to.
love.
Trust me, I don't want to.
I know, I don't want to either. So I know you have such an interesting perspective, being able to talk to all these different InsurTech companies, your background with insurance, starting an agent. I mean, here's my hot take question for you.
I love it. Here we go.
It's gonna get. I know.
Let's go.
I've been on a thing recently asking about this, but I'm really curious to hear your perspective.
Oh, here we go.
Is it coming?
Here we go.
It's coming.
AI.
Oh, there it is. You just extended the podcast 2 more hours. We got to wrap, but go ahead. Part 2. Here we go. I want to hear that. Let's hear your answer, though. Sid, I love
Artificial
it.
intelligence and really generative AI with OpenAI, ChatGPT, DALL-E, all this stuff that's come out. Like, what's your take on whether agencies should be afraid of this? Are you seeing it in InsurTech companies? Are you seeing them wrestle with this? What's your take on whether this actually has legs or not in the industry?
So it does have legs, but in a it has legs, but in
I
a
like
way,
this butt. Here we go.
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Color
So
commentary.
it's different.
Okay.
It's different, right?
All right.
So it depends on the uses for it.
Oh, yep. I would agree with that.
100%.
That's what
agree
I
with
mean.
that.
You can't
It
just use
depends
AI
on
just
how
to use
they
AI.
want to use
Yeah.
it.
It's not, you can't
Yeah.
just have AI
How
to
are
have
you-
AI.
Yeah.
Correct, because and the reason why they're doing that is because AI is tied to the money. You know, with the investors, they're like, hey, you know, if it has the AI, I might be interested in listing. So you need to make sure that any technology that you buy, that you actually know the true use case for the reason why they have AI embedded in that product and solution.
And well, we had a we had a podcast not too like I guess probably 6-8 months ago with a guy. We were talking about just the misuse of the words AI or the letters
Yeah.
AI. People
Yeah.
just want to throw the words AI out there. They don't even know what they're talking
Yeah.
about. To your point, depending on the use case, depending on how you're using it. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Jamie,
Yeah.
when we talked to Jamie, he
Oh,
was
no,
like,
no.
some people misuse AI. So go ahead. Sorry.
They do. Absolutely. No, you're good.
Fact checked.
Did you see the eyes on that?
Oh,
too?
yeah.
I was like,
Oh, yeah.
dude, that was money. Oh man,
Yeah.
loved it.
They absolutely do. You know, I think that's really important for us to know, like, how is it being used?
Yeah.
How often is it being used? What role will it eliminate or streamline? I think that it's important for us to know that, you know, for the agents and brokers, it's you should be trying to make sure that any of the platforms that you're working with, no matter what it is, if they are trying to help you streamline processes that are normally mundane tasks and manual processes, I would leverage AI on any of that type of stuff. That stuff is really important. Also, being able to leverage AI to do things that you normally probably couldn't do as an individual, like read your body language. And like, we've been seeing all types of uses for AI, like being on this Zoom and the read.ai is saying, okay, the body language changed during this part of conversation.
Whoa.
See, like stuff like, right?
It's telling you that
that-
right now. You've been reading our body language the whole time.
No wonder she's been spot on with her interview. I thought this is the best interview ever, but she's cheating.
I feel punked.
Yeah, you're cheating right now.
I feel like my
feel
creepy
seen.
orange mic guy
See,
just
like,
went
I
away.
feel
She
like
Yeah.
took
people
over.
need to talk about that.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. I'm getting read AI.
Yeah, you definitely
Yeah.
should not have opened that Pandora's
Yeah.
box. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you for sharing that with
Yes,
us,
like
though.
that is so cool.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. Now think about how an agent could use that, right?
Oh my gosh.
An agent,
Yes.
an agent could use that to actually do, like, you know, train their salespeople who are now
yeah.
who have traditionally sold only in person. So they may be great in person salespeople, but terrible on Zoom.
Now, I bet that
You can actually see when you lost them in the conversation. That's a game changer.
No, I bet your body language thing, your AI is probably telling you about us. They're in. That they're going to buy whatever you're selling because we're all like leaned in, excited. They're like, these suckers, you got them sold. Because we're digging it. And, you know, if you're not hyped after listening to this conversation, audience, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Agree.
We're doing something wrong. Email me if you didn't like this one, but I guarantee you're on the edge of your seat.
She has wrapped us around her pinky.
Oh my gosh.
No big deal.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
And do you have anything else before I do?
No, that was an incredible
wrap
hot
this
take.
up. Great hot take. Again, ladies and gentlemen, H. Sheeran at Vertafore.com. If we missed on this one, something's wrong with us, but I have a feeling you're just as pumped up as we are. You're just as hyped about it. Alexis, thank you so much for being here. Guys, if you want to learn more, is LinkedIn the best place to find you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
LinkedIn, you can find me Alexis Cierra Vaughn on LinkedIn. You could also subscribe for newsletter and updates at offcourse.ai.
Oh,
see that
nice.
plug there?
There you go. So, guys, you've got to find, Alexis Cierra Vaughn. And
I have to say something.
okay.
I feel like
I'm not going to be able to wrap this up.
No, you're not going to. Not right now.
All right, go ahead.
So I feel like we all just got
lost the show.
educated and
Oh,
schooled, and we took the podcast to a whole different level.
100%.
Yeah.
Like three
we
different
didn't.
levels.
Oh, thank you.
Alexis definitely
did-
raised the bar.
You can take your
Absolutely.
agency to that next level just by listening to this podcast about
Yes.
10 times and taking some notes.
Yes.
What you brought was so much gold, and I want to find a way to collaborate some more with
Appreciate
you. With Vertafore, so if we can find a way
Absolutely.
somehow, I
Yeah.
want to do that. So you've heard it recorded here. She said absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the show. Make sure you go to YouTube. Save this one because you're going to want to watch it again. And maybe you could tell us what you thought our body language was. Make that in the comments. Where do you think? But
Wait. To do that, you have to go to youtube.com/Vertafore and subscribe to Channel Orange.
amen. You took the words right out of my mouth. I can't wait to see you on the next one. Keep listening,
go.
and we'll see you soon. Well, that was a great episode.
Amazing. It was an amazing episode.
I really enjoyed that content. Guys, if you enjoyed that content and you want more of it, make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Nah, dude. You got to tell them to crush it. Crush that subscribe button, guys.
All right. Whether you want to crush it, smash it, hit it,
Bop it.
sure, we could bop it. Either way, guys, we don't want you to miss another episode. We enjoy spending time with you, the VIP.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.